They're halfway through the third. Score now is EUSA 2, 5-5 deuce 1. Nice day for a ball game. The breeze is keeping the temperature cool, and the humidity's not too bad, but that breeze is keeping some of the balls in the infield that could potentially be out here, Tim. We've only seen one home run today. Throughout the tournament, there were several. So maybe the weather's having a little effect on that. Coming up to lead off the bottom of the third, or get the third started for 5-5 deuce. This is Pete Leatherman, the first baseman. He's a left-hander. Pitcher Earl Young, make sure he's got his fielder set, and here comes the pitch. That's inside, it's a ball. Leatherman is the last man on the batting order. Off the plate, it's 2 balls and no strikes. Pitch from Young. That's a strike. Well, now Leatherman knows exactly what that strike is. He swings out to right field. Going forward is Robert Hager, the right center fielder, and he makes the catch. And that's the first out of the third inning for 5-5 deuce. Now we'll be switching back to a right-handed batter. So pitcher Earl Young, make sure he's got his fielders right where they need to be. That batter, by the way, coming up is the top of the order. This is player coach Brian King, plays left center. Brian has gotten a couple big rallies started in the first game played today. Takes the first pitch, it's a strike. Pitch from Earl Young, swung on, over the head of Stretch Carr. That's a base hit out to left center field. Rounds the corner, but doesn't make any big chance to get to second base. Now we've got to shift the outfield again as another left-hander. This is Joe Paola, the shortstop. Earl Young makes sure he's got his outfielders right where he wants them, and here comes the pitch. Joe steps into it, down the third base line. That's a fair ball. It's just, well, what could have been a double. It ends up being a single, and that advances King to, well, we've got a ground rule double coming here that will end up a double. That puts Paola on second and moves King over to third. That puts 2 runners in scoring position. Right now, 5-5 deuce trails EUSA by the score of 2-1. Mike Thomas, second baseman, knocks the dirt out of his cleats, and he's ready to go. There you see a real nice shot of Mike. Earl Young makes sure he's got what he wants. There's the pitch. That's a ball. There's the pitch from Earl Young. Swung. Straight away center. Robert Hager picks it up. Oh, no, he doesn't either. He gets by him. That brings King in, and here comes Paola. 5-5 deuce. Takes the lead here in the third inning. The score now is 3-2. And that gets the 5-5 deuce fans going. They've got the cheering crowd here today. They brought a bus down. John Newland, third baseman, comes up to the plate. There it is. Newland to the fourth baseman. Jamie McEwen gets over to second. That's the out right there. That's 2. Coming up to the plate, this is Ron Thomas. There are 2 Thomases, Mike and Ron. Ron playing center field. On first base now, he's got a runner. That's John Newland over there. We've got a timeout on the field. Here we go. Sunshine comes out from behind one of the clouds. Here's a real nice shot of Ron. Straightaway shot right over the pitcher's head. And that advances the runners 1 base. Puts them at first and second. And up to the batter's box comes Paul McLean. Paul's the left fielder.
.552 already with 7 hits this game, so they're kind of starting off where they ended last game.
Down the third base line. It drops fair. Here he comes in. Safe. Safe, says home plate pitcher Tim Smith. Runners advance. We've got him at second and third. The score now 5-5 deuce 4. EUSA 2. That was a good call there. It was a little close. A real good call by home plate pitcher, or home plate umpire Jim Smith. At first base, in the blue, is Hubert Sims from Area South, and at third is John Hester from Area North. The catcher for 5-5 deuce, number 00. This is Kurt Steinmuller. Takes the first pitch, hits a strike. There's a pitch from Earl Young. Strike 2. Kurt steps out of the batter's box. Make sure he's got everything just how he wants it. Shakes his head a little bit and swings the bat a couple of times. There's the pitch from Earl Young. Swung on. Straight away. And Sammy Clemens under there to make the catch. EUSA trailing 5-5 deuce by the score of 4-2. 5-5 deuce getting 3 runs there in their portion of the inning. We're coming up now on the top of the 4th. And there you see the score, the line score of the game so far. EUSA had a couple of slow innings there in the 2nd and 3rd. Let's see if they turn it on. The first game played today in this double elimination, EUSA and 5-5 deuce did most of the scoring in the 1st and the 5th. So maybe EUSA is just about ready to turn it on again. Let's see if they can't get it an inning earlier this time. Coming up to start the slugging for EUSA, this is first baseman Jay McEwen. Jay wears number 7, and he can really put some aluminum on that ball. No pitches
throughout the tournament. The last 3 days, he's been hitting real well for EUSA.
No changes in the field for 5-5 deuce. Here's a pitch from Mike Faverson. It's hanging down. It's going foul down the left baseline. It's out of play. And talking earlier about Joe Paolo covering ground, he was the first one to the fence.
I think he would have climbed the tree for that one.
He beat John Newland, the third baseman over there. He covers a lot of ground. He's a good shortstop. Plays a good ball. That's 1 strike for Jay McEwen. Pitch from Mike Faverson. Swung on. That one is also going foul left. And that could be that wind having a little effect, blowing that ball foul. That's strike 2. EUSA needs to get something going now. They're trailing by 2 runs here in the 4th inning. We are in the top of the 4th. No outs, 2 strikes on first batter. Jay McEwen gets one over the head of the third baseman. Whoa! Paul McLean makes a bad play, and Jay's going to get himself a double there. Paul McLean just had the ball take one of those funny bounces, and we've seen a couple of those this afternoon. So that's the way it goes sometimes. I guess they'll even out, though. Before the game is over, I'm sure 5-5 deuce will get one of those bounce their way.
Jay McEwen moving pretty fast for a big man.
That's for sure.
First base, the 2nd.
Stan Huff, the right fielder, at the bat. There's a pitch from Faverson, straight up the middle. It goes into the field. Jay is rounding 3rd. Nope, goes back. That puts the runners on the corners. And there you see a shot of Jay over at 3rd, and you can also see Stan over at first base. Back to our center field camera. Mike Faverson kicking a little dirt away from the pitcher's mound. Up to bat, this is Thomas Drummond, the catcher. That's a ball. It's outside. Catcher's ready. Here comes the pitch from Faverson. That's ball 2. Pitch number 3 to Thomas Drummond, and that's called a strike by home plate umpire Jim Smith. Leaves a call at 2 balls, 1 strike. There it is. Shortstop Joe Paola takes it to first. Got the 1. And that leaves the runners at 2nd and 3rd. That's the first out in EUSA's crack at the 4th inning. Pitcher Mike Faverson checking his fielders, making sure everything's okay. You can also see first base coach making a few adjustments. Coming in to bat right now. We've got a substitution being made. Player coach Nichols coming in for Robert Hager. So yeah, Nichols in for Hager. Nichols will be staying in, taking the field too. So there's our first change in the batting order, as the official scorers are making their changes. Got a slight break. Mike 552nd checks with his players. Catcher Kurt Steinebler says, "Let's go." And he gets an intentional walk. And that's one way to go about it. Easy on base. That brings up the pitcher. This is Earl Young. Runners on all three bases now. One out. Bases are loaded. And at bat, pitcher Earl Young takes the pitch from 552nd. It's a strike. 552nd not wasting any time, delivering that next pitch. There it is. Over to third baseman John Newland, to second. Well, they got the one they wanted. Bases are... Well, that leaves runners on the corners, is what that does. 4-3 is when run scores. They got the out, but they let one cross the base. Frank Dilley, second baseman, up to bat for EUSA.
Let's go, let's go!
552nd with the pitch. Swung on. Gets down that third base line. Paul McLean, the left fielder, squeezes it in. Brings one more run and ties the score up at 4-4 and brings the top of the order. This is Scott Carr up at the plate. Runners now on first and second base. 2 outs. We are in the top of the fourth. Scott Carr steps into the batter's box. The umpire says, "Let's go," and here comes the pitch. Scott gets some wood behind it. Oh, right to Mike Thomas, the second baseman, and that ends the inning. They strand 2, but they tie the score. It's now 4-4, halfway through the fourth inning. And with us right now, stepping by the our AFKN press booth, is Colonel Jerry Lambert, the commander here of Camp Carroll. How you doing, sir?
I'm fine. We're delighted to have you guys here broadcasting with us. We're lucky to get the weather that we got today. And we're certainly seeing some super softball here between these two teams vying for first place.
This looks like a real good game, and the field is in real nice shape, too. The ground crew here did a real nice job.
They've been working for about a week to get the field in condition, and it looks the best that I've ever seen it, to include the outfield scoreboard, which has been painted, and the fences have been decorated some, so we're in pretty good shape here for these games.
All right, thank you very much, sir. That's Colonel Jerry Lambert, the commander here at Camp Carroll, and we are at Camp Carroll's Sweeney Field. Okay, we have got a change here coming up to bat. This is number 1. This is Harper, and he's batting for pitcher Mike 552nd, I believe. Here we go, getting ourselves into the bottom of the fourth. It's a strike. That's the way to get the inning started. Still no changes for EUSA in the field. Grounded to shortstop Scott Carr, thrown over to Jamie Kuhn, and that's the first out of the game. Coming up to bat now.
You know, Rich, as is in the first game, both teams hitting well again. 5-5-2 with 8 hits, and EUSA with 6 right now.
This is Jeff Murrin, the right fielder. Murrin. Sorry about that. First pitch to him is a strike. Swings on that one. Foul ball. Didn't go over his head. That'll be strike 2. Home plate umpire Jim Smith with the call there. Thomas Drummond, the catcher, gave him one of those looks like, "Oh, come on." A little smile right after that. That's an illegal pitch. That brings the count to 1-2. That's Jeff Murrin at the swings on it. It's going to short left field. Under there is Mark McDonald, makes the catch, and that is the second out of the inning.
I think the catcher for EUSA, Drummond's taking some acting lessons there, Rich.
Could be. Could be. Up to bat, number 12, Pete Leatherman. He's the first baseman. Steps into the batter's box. Here's the pitch from Earl Young. And it's a little outside. It's a ball. Earl Young doesn't waste any time getting those pitches off. And that's a strike, that one. Count now 1-1. 2 outs. Score tied at 4-4 here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Pitch number 3 to Pete Leatherman. And that is a ball. 2-1 the count. Leatherman looks at that one. Drops a little short. Ball 3. 3-1. And that's a strike. Count is full. Pete Leatherman now has got to make a decision. Here comes the pitch from Earl Young. And it's deep. It's ball 4. Base on balls for Pete Leatherman. Coming up to the plate now, the top of the order for 5-5 deuce. This is Brian King.
Drummond going out to talk to the pitcher there. Looks like he's limping just a bit. May have got hurt.
That could be. We'll keep an eye on that. Brian King takes the pitch. Well, that was a strike. Yeah, so he can't be hurting too bad. Here's pitch number 2. Swung on. It's over the third baseman's head. That's a base hit. Leatherman advances to second. King gets himself to first. 2 outs. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. Joe Paola, shortstop for 5-5 deuce. He's a left-hander, so pitcher Earl Young making sure he's got all his fielders right where he wants them. Checks left, checks right, and here comes the pitch. That's a ball.
Joe Paola, certainly one of the standout players in this tournament, both offensively and defensively.
That's true, Tim. 2 balls. He, as we said, covers the entire field. It's a little hard to tell from the picture, but his uniform is really dirty. The count is 2-1. Now it is 3-1 with that pitch. Joe Paola asks for time. Gets his feet planted just the way he wants them. There's the pitch from Earl Young, and it's a strike. Count is full one more time. There's the pitch from Earl Young. Joe steps into it. To second baseman Frank Dilley. Over to shortstop Scott Carr, and that's out number 3. You're viewing the 1986 Men's Championship from Camp Carroll, Sweeney Field.
Mr. Preston, what made you go to the Concord fight?
What did I go for?
Yes, my histories tell me that you men of the Revolution took up arms against intolerable oppression. What was it?
Oppression? I didn't feel any of that I know of.
Were you not oppressed by the Stamp Act?
I never saw any stamps, and from what I understand, none were ever sold.
Well, what about the tea tax then?
Tea tax? I never drank a cup of the stuff. Besides, our boys threw most of it overboard anyway.
But I suppose you've been reading about the eternal principle of liberty according to Locke, Sidney, and Harrington then.
I never knew these men. The only books we ever had were the Bible, the Catechism, Watts, Psalms, and hymns, and the almanacs.
Well, what was it then?
Young man, what we meant in fighting the British was this. We had always been free, and we meant to be free always.
Welcome back to Sweeney Field at Camp Carroll, Korea, where the score right now stands at 4-4 through 4 innings. We're getting ready to start the 5th with EUSA coming up to bat. And the first man to step into the box will be third baseman Billy Nye. No changes in the field for 5-5 deuce. Mike Fiveson's still on the mound. Well, we've got a... Okay. Got a slight delay here in the action. We'll tell you right now that hit-wise, 5-5 deuce has got 8 hits, and EUSA also has 7 hits, so they're 1 behind in the hit department. Left on base, well, 5-5 deuce has stranded 3, while EUSA has left 2 men on the bases. So EUSA doing a better job of getting them off the base once they do get themselves onto the base. And here we go. Billy Nye comes up to the plate. Everything is settled. And pitcher Mike Fiveson gets some little dirt on those hands, maybe to work off some of that sweat. There's the pitch, and it is a strike. Fivison throwing a pretty good game. Bill Nye gets it down the right field line. It's going all the way to the corner. Nye goes around first, going to second, and he holds up there with a stand-up double. There you see Bill over on second, and we go back to our outfield camera. Going up to the play right now, this is Mark McDonald. He's got himself one home run in the first game played today. None yet today. The wind is blowing across the field, making it rather difficult. It's kind of swirling almost. It seems to change directions every inning. That first pitch, by the way, was a ball. Down to the third baseman. John Newland gets a hand on it, knocked it down. It held everybody up. That left Billy Nye at second, but it gave him a base hit. Puts the runners at first and second. And coming up to bat for EUSA, number 32, Sammy Clemens.
Billy Nye that time trying to throw off Paola just a bit by getting off at second base there.
First pitch to Sammy Clemens is the ball. Mike Fivison's been pitching quite a while. EUSA has made a pitching change, or they did during the first game. Off the glove, they've got the first. They've got Mark McDonald was tagged out at second. We've got a hurt player, and that is Joe Paola, the shortstop. That would be a big loss to the 5-5 Deuce team. Joe is down, and well, team members making sure that he is okay. Apparently he just maybe got the wind knocked out of him. Right now that leaves the runners at third and first, leaves the men on the corners. Coming up to bat, by the way, will be Jay McEwen, the big first baseman. Joe apparently is okay. He's up and walking around. Maybe just got the wind knocked out of him a little bit. And apparently he's going to stay in the game. Kind of shakes it off and puts his hat back on.
I don't know about you, Rich, but I think they'd have to break his leg before they get him out of there.
He's playing tough, that's for sure. There you see Jay McEwen, next batter up for EUSA. Jay gets the signal from the coach over on the first base side of the field. And we have got a timeout on the ball field as a banner has blown down here on the outfield. The banner that let us know that we were at the 1986 softball championship. So we've got another slight break in the action. Well, we'll look at the hit action again. So far this inning, EUSA has got themselves 2 hits, bringing their total to 9 hits so far through, well, 1/3 of the way through their part of the 5th inning. And there goes the batter, lumped up and thrown over the fence. Now we're ready to play ball again as the fielders get themselves settled. Mike Fiverson makes sure everybody is back where he wants them and heads back up towards the pitcher mound. Jay McEwen steps into the batter's box. And home plate umpire Jim Smith says, let's go. And here comes the pitch from Fiverson. And it's a strike right there on the outside corner. Pitch number 2 to McEwen. Ripped down the third base line. In fact, it hit third base umpire John Hester. That ball was really ripped, and it just about took out his own man on third base, Billy Nye, who's on third base. And over on first base, we've got a run over there too. So on first base, that's Sammy Clemens. So he's got the runners on the corners. There's 1 out, and the score is tied at 4-4. And we're working on the top of the 5th inning. Count now is no balls, 2 strikes. McEwen gets that one to third baseman John Newland, over to second. Got it, and they turn a double play. And that ends the 5th inning, leaves the man stranded. Our score halfway through the 5th is 4-4. All tied up between 5-5 Deuce MPs of Yongsan and EUSA, representing Area South, and they are from Yongsan. The crowd is starting to chant again, that 5-5 Deuce cheering section that they brought up on the bus. They've been a little quiet this game. Maybe they're waiting for it to heat up. And it's time to heat things up. We're tied at 5-5, as you can see by the line score there. We're halfway through the 5th inning, and 5-5 Deuce MPs coming up to bat. Leading us off, this is Number 19 coming up to bat. Well, let's see. I'm looking at the wrong card. This is Mike Thomas, the second baseman. Mike playing a real steady game. He's playing pretty well today. Earl Young is ready. There's the pitch. And it's a ball. Backing up, getting ready for it. Thomas pops it up. And it's caught by Nichols. Squeezes that one in. And that is the first out.
Nichols kind of came in on that one, Rich, and because of I think it was a wind, he kind of misjudged that one, so he had to go back for it, but he got it.
That could be. Nichols didn't start the game. He came in as a replacement, and maybe he's not familiar with the ground over there, or maybe he just misjudged the ball. John Newland, third baseman, takes the first pitch. That's a ball.
This is the inning that the 5-5 deuce really came on in the first game.
It's heading out towards that red screen they've got out there. Playing it off the wall. It's not caught. That's a stand-up double. It was out in the area of Stan Huff over there in left field. The field, by the way, is a rather short one on the right-hand side. It's only 234 feet to the fence, and that's a little too short for the men's championship or even a men's field, so they've added a screen-type fence up there. It goes about 20 feet in the air, and it has lengthened the field out to 275 feet. If the ball goes into the wall, it is to be played off the net, so that's what happened there. That was a good example. Ron Thomas at the base, down to the third baseman Billy Nye runs down the runner. Puts Ron Thomas safe at first, but threw out John Newland as second, or actually